Hey, what's up guys? This is Genjuro bringing you another Magic World deck profile, and this time around it's going to be about wizards, but more specifically about the burn slash firepower archetype. This archetype focuses on being really aggressive and also burning down your opponent's life down to 0 as soon as possible. So as you can see here, I run my one copy of Kenjy as my buddy because I chose him because, well, basically he's a size 1 monster that doesn't have any requirements whatsoever, so he's really easy to play and it's the most consistent thing I can have to get that one free life with the buddy call. So one copy of Kenjy as my buddy. I'm going to start off by showing off the size 3 monsters I run because it's going to be easier for me to explain how the deck works. So to start off, I run the 2 copies of the size 3 Ganzack. Size 3 Ganzack, for him to be able to activate his effect, you have to have a copy of a card that has Ganzack and his name and the discard pile, and when you do, you can pay 5 gauge and deal 3 damage directly to your opponent. So he's one of the setting him up is one of the main goal of the deck, setting up your 5 gauges for him to be able to finish off your opponent. But at worst, he's just a 7k vanilla that deals 3 damage because, well, he doesn't have any call costs, so he's really easy to play, and you can use him at worst if you just want a big body on your field. So 2 copies of the size 3 Ganzack that I use as a finisher. Size 2 monsters, I run 4 copies of the size 2 Ganzack. Size 2 Ganzack is a vanilla monster, but it has 3 critical, so he's mainly used as a damage dealer, and like I said, you need a copy of a card with Ganzack and his name and the discard pile to activate the size 3 Ganzack's effect. So he's also used for that. 3 copies of Genjuro Saki. Genjuro Saki, he's one of the main way to set up the size 3 Ganzack because 5 gauge is really expensive, so he can reduce all the cast costs of the Magic World spell by 1, so it makes them either free or really cheap, so that you can save it on gauge and be able to activate the size 3 Ganzack at the end of the game. So 3 copies of Genjuro Saki. He also has 2 critical, unlike Soichiro, which is really good for the deck because this is more of an aggressive deck. So that's that for the size 2s. As for the size 1 monsters, I run 4 copies of Qinus Axia. Qinus Axia is one of your primary burning tool. When you call him on the field, you pay 1 gauge and you can deal 1 damage to your opponent directly. So really good card. He also has 2 criticals, so you can call him, deal 1 with his effect, and swing for 2. So a really good card. 4 copies of Kenjy, of course. Like I said, he's my buddy, so I need him at 4. He also has 2 critical, and he's overall just a great beat stick and a great buddy also. So 4 copies of Kenjy. As my other size 1 monsters, I run 3 copies of Dragowizard Burning Wand. Burning Wand is basically Bechstein on legs. When he's on the field, you can tap him and deal 1 damage to your opponent directly, but you can only use his effect once per turn. So that's why I only run 3 of him. Since if you already have 1 in your hand or 1 on the field, you don't always want to draw into him. So yeah, but still really good. And as my last size 1 monster, I run 3 copies of Glassart. Glassart, you guys know what he does. He has 2 critical, and when he hits your opponent, you can pay 1 gauge and draw 1 card. So he's a damage dealer and a draw engine at the same time, which is really good. As my weapon, I'll play 3 copies of Bechstein. Of course, the deck being a burning deck, this is really needed. Equip cost of 1 gauge, but when it's equipped, you can tap it every turn to deal 1 damage to your opponent. So the damage really racks up over time with this. And as for the spells, speaking of burning, I run 4 copies of Transflame. Transflame is pretty self-explanatory. Deal 1 damage to your opponent directly. So yeah, more burn card is good. 4 copies of Nice One, pay 1 gauge, draw 2. With Saki it can be free. So main draw engine really. Pretty self-explanatory. 4 copies of Magical Goodbye. The main removal of the main removal of the deck. It's basically a free bounce for size 2 or less monsters on the field. It can be used for yourself, as you guys may know already. So you can use that on Qinus Axia to bounce it after using his effect to reuse it later. So yeah, overall really good. You can burn down your opponents with Magical Goodbye and Axia, or you can remove their opponents from the center and go in with cards like Ganzack that has 3 critical. That's it for that. Those are more of the staple spells. As for the other removal, I run 3 copies of Pyro Maximum. Pyro Maximum destroy all your opponent's monster that has 6000 or less defense on the field, so it can be used as a mass removal if your opponent plays a lot of size 1 monsters, but it's also another way to get rid of size 3 monsters, because Magical Goodbye doesn't target size 3 monsters. So if your opponent plays a size 3 monsters that has 6000 or less defense, you can use that to get rid of it. So overall really good. Cast cost of 2, but can be won with Saki. 3 copies of Kosher. If you have 2 wizards, you can activate this card, and when you do, you put the top card of the deck in your gauge and you draw a card. So it replaces itself, and you draw and you put the top card of your deck and the gauge. So it's a gauge engine and a draw engine at the same time. 3 copies of Key of Solomon first volume. Put the 2 top card of your deck into your gauge. So this is another way to set up Ganzack, since you'll be using some of your gauge with Qinus Axia, with Glassart, etc. So this is a way to recover all that lost gauge and be able to use the size 3 Ganzack later on. And as my last spell, I run 3 copies of Solomon's Shield. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's a free negate attack that negates the attack one of your opponent's monsters attack if it's not a link attack. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory, just basic protection here. So that's a 50 card deck. And as for my sideboard, I'm going to show you guys what I run in my sideboard. So the first card in my sideboard is 3 copies of Oops, because Pyro Maximum sometimes can whiff. There are some great size 3 monsters that are immune to destruction, immune to some of the spells that destroys, or simply that has more than 6,000 defense. So Oops can replace Pyro Maximum in that sense, because it doesn't really care, it just bounces anything it wants. So for the same cost. So 3 copies of Oops, 2 copies of Abracadabra, because if you play the Mirror, if you play another Magic World spell, if you play another Magic World deck, this spell can be really useful. 2 copies of Destruction, because if they play Aegis, one of Legend World's item that reduces all the damage that are not dealt by attacks by 1, you basically lose. So you need that to destroy that item and still go in with all your burn effects. 2 copies of Hearty, because in some of the matchups she's one of the win condition, like against decks like Dungeon World, they have a lot of trouble getting rid of that, of her. And in other matchups too, she can be better than the size 3 Ganzack, like just more useful overall. So 2 copies of Hearty, and as my last card in the sideboard, I run the Impact. Pay 3 gauge, and you can either deal 2 damage directly to your opponent or destroy the entire field. So it's pretty costly, but I mean, if you want more burning power or if you want more destruction, more removal, it's always welcome. And the fact that it's an impact, it can't really be negated by cards like Abracadabra or other stuff like that, so that can also be useful in that sense. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. That's the deck in a nutshell. It's a pretty straightforward deck, to be honest. It's all about being aggressive. It's all about burning down your opponent's life down to 0 as soon as possible. And yeah guys, if you like the deck, try it. It's really fun. It's really fun, and it's really fun to see how people react to that. How they can't really handle like the burning and all the burning. So yeah, definitely try it out if you're interested in that deck. And yeah guys, that's it for me. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.